Welcome back, my unapologetic listeners, to another episode of the Unapologetic Anthropologist. And we are back with Who Decides What Beautiful Means. We did dip into this a little bit when we were talking about mating preferences and things, but this is actually going to be a full, deep dive. So let us just jump right in. All right, so I want to propose a question before we really jump in. If beauty is biologically hardwired, why can't we all agree upon what it actually looks like? Well, that's because we are highly sociable beings and our ideals shift rapidly. What is considered cool or in trend changes so quickly that even us in our current generation have a hard time keeping up, and it is hard to share those radically shifting ideals collectively across all of humanity because there is now so many of us. But from pale to tan to thick to thin to eyebrows to middle parts and side parts, we're going to go through it all. The reality is, we don't just adapt to survive, we actually decide on how things should look while we're doing it. Let's keep moving a little further. First, let's get our definitions straight here. Make sure we have a completely full understanding before we start walking through some of the different ideals. Attraction is biological, individual cues, symmetry, health, age, sexual traits, all those things. Beauty standard is something that is culturally derived, socially shared ideals, prestige, fashion, and especially status, which we're going to talk about. The takeaway here is we are not blank slates. Biology doesn't write simply everything, but it is kind of a foundation for us here. Beauty before Instagram. I love this so much. Even before magazines and some of these giant makeup and fashion editorials. This is a very old habit. We see body modification all the way back into our ancestry, whether that's pigmentation, jewelry, scarring. We see a lot of body modification happening, tattoos. And of course, it's for more than attraction. We see adornment communicated through identity, memberships, meritable eligibility. Maybe you're a certain member of a community, whether you're the chief or someone related to that. And then, of course, the message to be beautiful or to look a certain way meant that you belong to a specific social group. And just to go over some different ideologies here, we see the Egyptians to our left, where cosmetics was used for everyone. Grooming and scent was huge signals for status and cleanliness. And then, of course, we see the ancient Greeks over to our right, showing us the athletic proportions and physical excellence defined in male ideals and art. Male ideals and art, just to say it again. Like a modern filter, these were ideals. These are not exact pictures of what people actually looked like during those time periods. It's similar if you took an AI photo of me and pasted it in the history books. That's not exactly what I look like and can throw off some ideals moving forward to the next generations. And not to pick on the Romans, but I'm going to anyway. They have this philosophy that the body is a billboard. Your appearance is a public broadcast of who you are and what you're worth. So now we've seen that how you present yourself has some sort of relation to what you're worth and how the world now sees you. So we have our morality, our citizenship, our wealth, and the rule really was that grooming was heavily tied to social power. The cleaner you were, the nicer you were, the likelihood of more money that you had and more status. And that kind of couples right into this problem here of the economics of beauty, the standards that often reflect who has access to resources and the leisures of life, similar to how we view it today. The tanning paradox, as well, as something that I thought was so funny. Pale skin once meant freedom from the fields. It showed that you weren't in the labor force. And now tan skin means freedom to vacation. So it's funny how this one specific trait has actually socially changed over time. The most desirable body is usually the one that looks the hardest to achieve, which I think is funny, but has kind of been a rule through our societal standards here. Let me know what you think about that in the comments below. I'm curious. That brings us right into the evolution of the male ideal. We talked a little bit about the female ideal in a previous episode, so make sure you go back and check that out. We do see some constant shifting from warriors to aristocrats to Captain America and our action heroes. We also see the reflecting of values, whether that be societal values at that specific moment. Maybe it's wealth, maybe it's honesty. It depends on what specific culture we're talking about. And then, of course, the biological drivers, the strength, the authority. We also see things like wealth, discipline, and youth as well. Moving forward, we will take a look about why this is important to us. As many of us ladies know in the world, beauty can hurt. We say it all the time. Humans can endure pain for status. It depends on how willing you are to want those things. Corsets, foot bindings, scarification, you name it. We've seen it in humanity. Looking to the future, imagine an anthropologist in 3000 AD studying our habits. Can you imagine what they are going to find? Here's some of the weird things: Botox, high heels, laser hair removals. We are cutting into a very strange culture that I cannot imagine how future scientists are going to peer into the details of what we've done in the future, but it definitely makes you think. And speaking of our actions today, how does our digital world and now these algorithms come into play? Well, it's really acting as an accelerator. Photography, media really commercialized what we consider to be beautiful. And then social media just put that right onto steroids. Now we have this constant acceleration of shifting ideals. We compare ourselves digitally to altered things and altered faces, not celebrities. Now we're actually comparing ourselves to what the algorithm has crafted, which is a little scary. The new threat is what happens when the beauty standard isn't even a real human, where we're competing against AI standards and ideals. It's going to make it biologically a little hard to live up to those standards. And then just really bringing it all together here in this beautiful interaction of what we consider beauty. We have the economics, we have power and status, we have culture, we have biology, all playing into this ideal of beauty. It's not biology, it's not just culture, it's all the inner working, this complex web. Attraction is a mix of all of these things: evolution, power dynamics, all of the things you see in our little cogs here, our little wheels. And then another question I just want to leave you with is, don't ask what is beautiful. If somebody says, "Oh, is this beautiful?" Ask who holds the power to define it. Define what it is and define if it's beautiful or not. Just think about that. I'd love to know your perspective. Reach out to me in the comments or DM me directly. Alrighty, that brings us to the end of our episode. Now, I know it does say here we're going to jump into Disney under the anthropological microscope next. I haven't decided if that's going to be the immediate next episode, but we're definitely going to jump into that as we move forward. Definitely want your opinions. If there's something specific that you'd like me to see or like me to present, like to see on the platform here, like me to do some research, please feel free to reach out to me, comment, DM me directly, and we will make it happen. But really just wanted to thank you again from the bottom of my heart for staying on our platform here, following me, supporting my content, and then until the next time, stay curious and unapologetic. I will see you then.